So tonight I am playing Aerion, which is the latest game from Shadi Torbey in the Universe series. It's a solo game, and it's a game all about building airships which will fly through the skies of the universe if you manage to build them. To build an airship you need some kind of fundamental building resource, you need a blueprint, and you need a crew. So it's a set collecting game. You're trying to collect a set containing one of each of those things, depending on the ship you're trying to build. And if you manage to build all 6 ships before you run out of cards, you have won the game. So I thought I'd just play a few rounds and maybe explain the game as I go. It's a dice drafting game, and each round you roll the dice and you see what kind of sets you can make with the numbers that you've rolled. So I've got a pair and 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, one of the sets you can make is a straight. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have a straight, that will let you take a card from this pile, A, B, C, D, E. Or if, for example, I made 2 pairs, I could take a card from that pile, the double and double. Or there's 3 of a kind, 3 of a kind and 2 of a kind, 4 of a kind, and this pile lets you take the card if you've got 2 3s of a kind or 3 2s of a kind. The other important mechanism is if you don't like the numbers that you've just rolled, like for example I don't really want to take that until I've got a blueprint to work to. You can decide to discard a card from any pile, and that lets you re-roll any number of dice. So for example, let's say I discard one from this pile, I can re-roll whatever dice I want. Actually I'm just going to re-roll the whole bunch of them there. So now I've got a pair of 2s, a pair of 4s, a 1 and a 5. I'm going to use my 2 pairs to take this card, pair and a pair. It's a blueprint to make that airship, and I'm going to put that into my workshop area. Now your workshop area can contain 2 projects at a time, so that's my first project. To complete this project I'm going to need that particular resource, that's called a helixes, something crazy like that. And I need crew members, which are the Sognae, which are sort of strange hamster looking type people. I think they represent pleasant dreams, because the story is something about the various types of dream flying around in the skies of the universe. There is a catch, which is you can collect a blueprint and a resource in any order, but the crew for your airship has to be collected last. Anyway, that was the first turn. That went pretty well, so I refresh the card display, I re-roll my dice, and let's see what I've got this time. So I've got a set of 3, and a 4, a 1 and a 5. Now I really want one of these helices, possibly start another blueprint. So I'm going to keep that set of 3, and I'll re-roll these dice by discarding a card. Let's discard that one. That's still not brilliant. Now one thing that you can do, you've got these 3 things here. These are pixies. You can spend one of your pixies to turn a dice to any value you want. So let's say I throw away that pixie, I can turn one of these dice into a 2. I can now get this card, which is for a set of 4. So there we go, I've now got a blueprint well underway here. I've got the blueprint and the resource. All I need now is a crew member, which would be the Sognae. if I'm really lucky, I might draw one of those this turn, because you can see on the backs of these cards what resources are found in that pile. So this pile is full of Sognir, helices, and that particular type of blueprint. This pile is full of Sognir nuts, which are what these things are called, and that type of blueprint. So there's a bit of planning around which piles you decide to deplete, because that gives you an idea of what resources you will bring in at the end of the turn. Speaking of which, let's bring in, and oh yes, that is exactly two sets of exactly what I want. So if I can now get this crew, that is airship number 1 completed. So let's see how I do. 3, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2. Okay. Let's just throw that one away and reroll these two. Okay, that's a set of 2 and a set of 3, so I'm not going to pick one of these guys up just yet, because I've instead got my eye on that blueprint. So this blueprint needs a cocoon and then another Sognir to crew it. Now you're allowed to have 2 projects on the go in your workshop at any time. So that's sort of maxed out my capacity for concurrent projects, but I think I'm still doing quite well. Let's see what cards we have for the next turn. That's a book. That does all kinds of special things if you decide to collect it. We'll talk about that if I do manage to collect it. Ooh, so that is 3 sets of 2. I can get the Sognir for 3 sets of 2, so that completes my first airship. So I flip this guy over. It's the blueprint, the helices and the Sognir. Oops. And that's my first airship completed. So I am 1/6 of the way to finishing the game. These go into the relevant discard piles. And we continue. And obviously I've now got project space to get another airship in progress. 2, 4, 5. Okay, so I've got 2 sets of 2. This thing needs cocoons. Now I haven't had any cocoons come out in the resource piles yet. Cocoons can come out of here and here. Or I could just speculatively take some of these nut resources into my other workshop space, because there's a pretty good chance that I will land a blueprint that needs nuts before too long. See, that and that one need nuts. I'll take that one for now. That'll be the end of that turn. So the next turn, not brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to end up with my display very clogged up here with cards that are no use to me. Perhaps if I try and get the book, for which I need a run of contiguous numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, can I get that already? I can get that already. Okay, so I'll take the book. The book goes into a special space called your pulpit. And when you discard a book from the pulpit, it gives you a choice of various different things you can do, one of which is you can re-roll up to 3 times during the re-roll phase, which is really nice. The second option is you can take any of the cards from the display into your reserve area over here, which is also quite useful. Or you can pull cards out of the discard deck and put them back on top of the draw piles. So books are quite useful things to have. I probably shouldn't have taken that book quite yet, because I could have kind of used, could have spent some rerolls to move these cards onto the discard piles and clear up these decks, which there's a good chance I could get a cocoon out of to help with this project. What I'm actually going to do, I think, is use my book right now to take this card into my reserve. You can play cards out of your reserve into your projects at any time, but the main reason I did that was to get some space under here, because there's a good chance that in a moment I could draw either a cocoon or that particular blueprint, and that would kind of get me started again. Those would be good cards for either of those projects. So let's see how that worked out. Not very well at all, because it's another book. Okay, let's try and play to get that book into my play area. 2s, 3s, 5. I really need 3 of a kind to unblock that one, so I'll discard this to get a reroll. Ooh, that's annoying. What will I do now? You know what, I'll discard another pixie to turn one of these into, it doesn't matter, a 1 or a 2. Gives me 3 of a kind, which lets me take that book. That's the end of my turn. I refresh the play area. Right, so that's a good card. I can put that in with the nut to get another airship going. That airship I've already made, so that's a very easy to sacrifice card. So let's see how this turn goes. I'm trying to get 3 of a kind here. So there's a 2, there's another 2, so I can spend that card quite happily, because I know I don't need to build that particular airship. To get a reroll, didn't help. I'll keep those Sogni around for a while, so let's just discard that one for now to reroll these. I'm up 4 or 5, and it's a 5. That's great. That means I can take this airship blueprint, put it onto this project. All I need now to finish that airship is these Sogni up here, and hopefully this will help bring out a cocoon in these 2 parts. Let's find out. Yes, cocoon, cocoon, and Sogni. Ooh, this is good. Any of these cocoons or these Sognis will help with these 2 projects. So, I mean, as you can see, this is the basic level of the game, and it's really, really simple. I mean, it's not. Oops, that was a 1, wasn't it? I was too busy talking and not looking at what I was doing with the components. It's a pretty simple game, but it's gentle and it's quite good fun. Once you've mastered the basic version, and actually the basic version is quite easy to play. The first time I played it, I completely forgot about these pixie tokens, and I still managed to win the game, the basic version of the game, on my very first turn. But once you've mastered the basics, there is loads and loads of mini expansions in here, ramp up the difficulty. So, I mean, there's this guy, the Hellkite, I can't even remember what he does. Or, I think my favourite one is the Hammerbirds. So there's these things called the stone clouds, which come out and they block up your access to various airships. And the only way you can destroy the stone clouds is obviously with Hammerbirds. So these Hammerbirds sit in your decks and they come out and they start appearing in these various piles, and the idea is the more Hammerbirds you get into the display to play at the same time, the more damage they will do to the stone clouds, and the faster they'll chip away at them. So there's this really nice this dilemma about how much do I want to block up my display with Hammerbirds before I use them? How much risk can I put in there? It's really good. That's once you start adding in the mini expansions, what is a really simple game starts to get really, really, really quite thinky, but completely unintelligible to explain to somebody who's seen this for the first time. So I just thought I'd show the basic game mechanics there rather than throw you in with some of the expansions. But yeah, it's a nice little solo game, this one. I would definitely recommend it. It's one of the better Universe games. Though, to be frank, I've enjoyed pretty much all of the Universe games, so it's good. Good addition to the series. I think I'll stop recording here so I can carry on and see just how well I do in this particular game. But if you enjoyed this sort of playthrough, if you really wanted me to play through the thing to the end, maybe I'll do that in a future video. Let me know. But for now, cheerio.